Welcome back to another episode of The Screen Sniper. I am Bruce, I guess I am the Screen Sniper. But anyway, I want to touch on episodes 5 and 6 of Westworld. I love the show, but I have to say this. Episode 5. I know I didn't do this last week, so I'm doing episode 5 and 6 right now. But anyway, episode 5. So we get to see Pariah, we get to see Dolores, go and get a change of clothing. And part of the show played out like the movie Caligula. If you don't know about Caligula, Google it. Honestly, episode 5, other than seeing like the creepy Tex having sex with the host, which I guess is not that creepy because that's what the hosts do, but not the Tex downstairs, the repair Tex really shouldn't be doing, like, the hosts are supposed to be dead. That was just strange. But anyway, I think episode 5 kind of was just like a setup for episode 6. Like episode 5, there was nothing great about that episode. I think it was just like a good lubricant for episode 6. And I guess I'm saying lubricant because of some of the scenes from episode 5 refer back to the Caligula. So episode 5 was a good setup for episode 6. And the reason I say that is because Maeve, over the last few episodes, Maeve kind of getting a little bit of her story. And I think it was great to see a show take a secondary supporting character that up until this point, there wasn't a lot of intrigue. I mean, we were a little bit interested in some of the things she was doing, but thrust her into the main focus in episode 6. And it was beautifully done. Like, I actually care about what's going on with Maeve now. Like, that was fantastic. The way they took her character and dealing with the tech who's kind of like trying to get into programming and whatnot. Pretty much they transformed her into a completely different character arc and storyline that I really care about. We didn't even see Dolores in this episode. And yeah, we saw the Man in Black and we saw Teddy, but to be honest, like, other than Teddy shooting those guys up, I mean, we didn't even need them in this episode. Like, this was like all Maeve all the time. It was a great episode. I just want to, like, I'm gonna sum this up in like 3 talking points. The first one I've already pretty much covered. Seeing Thandie Newton, as Maeve being brought to the forefront was excellent. They really crushed that storyline and set us on an arc that I'm very, very interested in. I guess the second point would be seeing the host interact with the real world behind the scenes was great because she wasn't on one of her narratives, and it really could have been any character, not necessarily Maeve in this instance, because you kind of want to see, like, how would you interact with the hosts when they're awake, because normally they're dead by the time they get to them when they're doing repairs. So to see how they interact and to kind of see, like, would you be a bit uncomfortable? I'd probably be a little bit uncomfortable if one of the hosts woke up while I was working on it, because they seem so lifelike. It's like working on a person. Although it's a machine, the way they interact is so lifelike. It's crazy. So I remember Ford said in one scene that the early versions of the hosts passed the Turing test. So like these are like completely realistic. So I mean, it's pretty great. And lastly, in the dialogue, so it's suggested that the hosts have more processing power in their brain than humans do, and that they can be more intelligent than humans, except they dial them back in order to fit the narratives and fit what they need them to do. And I bet that's probably a safety issue as well. So knowing that they can be ramped up to more intelligence or perception and humor, whatever, I mean, that's great to know, because it sets up the potential for all kinds of character arcs if we know that their settings can go up and down, and we know that they're ultimately smarter than the humans who are working on it. So it's going to be interesting to see where the show's going. Even though the show keeps you off balance, it's kind of setting it up to go in any direction by saying the host can be much smarter, saying they can adjust them, all this stuff. I mean, at this point, I don't have a clue where the show's going to go, and I'm excited to see that. It's a very, very good show. Not even just the sci-fi aspect of it, which I like. It's like a suspense thriller that just keeps on going and going and going, and eventually they're going to have to quench our thirst of what's going on. But I'm just very interested in seeing where they go with the show next. So to recap, I feel like episode 5 was a good setup for episode 6, and episode 6 was a fantastic episode. So I'm very excited to see what's going to happen in episode 7. So we'll definitely come back and talk about that, unless I decide to do a video on Westworld again between that time. But in the meantime, if you like this video, make sure that you smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, Screen Sniper, but tune into the next video to see what I have in my sights.